Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Omori. This time we're starting on the title screen. I passed over this last time because I felt it would flow better if we just started the game right away. Don't want you getting too comfortable before we start. I am making a special point to show it since it will actually change over the course of the game, although the first change is a bit of a ways off. Also, the title screen music is just rather soothing. I enjoy hearing it. Anyways, let's continue from where we left off. Last time, our journey to Basil's house came to a bit of a surreal conclusion. Surreal and abrupt conclusion, I should say. And after Omori, stabbed himself, I guess his solution to leaving Whitespace when he didn't want to be there was ritual suicide. Control has shifted over to a young man named Sunny, who bears a striking resemblance to Omori. Anyways, if you remember last time, Sunny is hungry, and we saw some post-it notes saying that there's some leftover steak in the fridge, so let's go get that. I sure am sure. But Sunny is not quite so sure, and he vetoes our decision there. It's quite dark, and he does not seem to be comfortable with traveling down the stairs in this state. And we can't turn the lights on because Mom forgot to tell the electric company not to shut off the power. I'm guessing they don't already have a buyer lined up for this house, so that's why they're shutting the power on for the time being. So, nothing left to do but go back to sleep. Except, of course, it's not that simple. Sometimes you're just hungry, man. Better go eat that steak. Well, now, this is different. Wonder what that's all about. Well, it's brighter at least. Well, let's head on down. Was this staircase that long before? I'm probably just imagining things. I didn't really look too closely. Let's go. Some interesting decorum they got in this house. Somebody else in the house? Hearing some whispers. I don't know. This is starting to get a little strange. I think something's not quite right. Maybe we should head back. Any attempt to head back up the stairs will just remind you you are hungry, so gotta force yourself on down. And what do we have here? There's a familiar object. Can't imagine what we'd need a knife to go down the stairs for, but oh, okay, I don't think that's part of the house. Let's just mosey on down the stairs. I'm sure we're fine. We can outrun this thing. It's just a giant hand. Or perhaps not. And here we are in the battle against something. This particular something is not the only something we will come across in this game. This one seems to be representative of Sunny's general fear of heights, and also a strange association he has with the stairs. Something is not a peaceful creature, and it looks like we are afraid. What does that mean? Well, we'll get to that later. Nothing much to do, except struggle. Now, like I said, this is something, but it's not the only something we will come across. I like to call this particular something Acrophobia, after the music track that plays during this fight. And it just helps to differentiate it from the various somethings that we'll see later. But, for now, let's just continue our struggle. It's not going particularly well. He's chipping away at us, and we're doing nothing to him. If it even is a him. Looks like the darkness is encroaching. Sunny just continues to fall. But he seems to be recalling something. And, remembering the words, he knows that he just needs to calm down. steady his nerves, and suddenly, things might not seem so scary. And we have bested Acrophobia. For the time being, anyway. We've now made it to the bottom of the stairs. Just one little quick thing to check out here. We've got a first aid kit. Wonder if we'll need that for anything later. Strange that that little patch of wall there indicates that there's nothing there. It's not like any other bit of wall does that. Well, let's look around while we're down here. Except Sunny doesn't seem too keen on going into that room, for reasons that are not clear to me. Little spot that's cleaner than the rest of the wall. At the very least, less worn down. Perhaps a painting was there once. Looks like there's a bit of a stain in the carpet here, but not something we can examine. More post-it notes? Well, thanks, Mom. That's helpful if I was still 8. Anyway, where we need to head is the kitchen. Here we have a wonderful cold steak. Yeah, I can't say I'd be too fond of just biting right into cold meat. We'll need a steak knife to cut our meat once it's ready. Thrilling cooking action, the kind of thing you can only expect to see in Omori. That is a lovely steak. I will say, I appreciate Mom's dedication to giving us a restaurant atmosphere for these leftovers. We even have wrapped utensils. Unfortunately, it seems like that steak might have been a little too well done. Perhaps something else was wrong with it. Whatever the case, it's not sitting well in Sunny's stomach, so just gonna have to make a quick trip to the bathroom. And time to York. Well, that wasn't so good. Not exactly the most satiating late-night dinner. I doubt he's gonna have an easy time going back to sleep after that. He's probably still hungry. Huh. Who could be knocking at the door at this hour? Let's check it out. Mari, just like with Omori. Well, I think we should let her in. I think it's a bit bad on her that she forgot her keys, but that's no reason to just leave her out in the cold. Let's open it. Well, you know what? On second thought, maybe not. Let's just head back upstairs. Maybe go into the bathroom and just splash some water on our face to calm our nerves. Well, oof. You know what? Maybe we should just sleep this off. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. Alright, back to bed. Didn't exactly get the fulfilling meal that he hoped for, but Sunny gave it the old college try, and I can respect that. Whatever the case, it seems to have him satisfied for now, so we can sleep. And with that, we find ourselves back in white space, and the door has returned. Let's check it out. Can we leave? Go hang out with our friends some more? Well, looks like the only option is to do nothing at the moment. Well, if we're in the mood to do nothing, may as well stare at our computer screen. Or perhaps not. What do we got here? Game of Hangman, it seems. Somewhere between Hangman and a scavenger hunt. I take it these hints will lead us to these letters? Well now. Looks like we've got a new quest for the game. Pressing the Q key, we can check the Hangman menu to see what letters we have. I suppose it would be more accurate to call those keys, as they are computer keys. It looks like another thing has fallen. Let's do a quick scan of the area to find it. And I'm actually getting quite lucky with this and finding these quickly. Both this map and the steak knife from yesterday. Well, I'm not sure if it's yesterday or the same day at this point, but the steak knife from the previous time that we found, these end up in random locations I found out in my multiple playthroughs of this game. I've just been lucky to find them relatively quickly. And big map of the world. We now finally have a name for the world that Omori's friends inhabit, Headspace. Now that we have the map, we can finally leave Whitespace again. We gotta see if everyone's okay. Especially Basil, he seemed really freaked out. And we're back with friends in our pastel wonderland. Looks like Basil is missing. Alright, sounds good to me. And the gang's back together again. Let's head on out. But not before we go. The snake will give us some clams. 200 this time. Nice little increase from the 75 we got last time. And what's with the bloody footprints? Well, it'll lead us right to our first key. Fortunately, it's a vowel, so that means we're almost certainly going to get something. Let's check it out. And there are 2 A's. Don't have enough to hazard a guess at what that phrase at the bottom is, though. A little hole where the key was left, but doesn't look like we can examine it at all. Alright, enough dilly-dallying. Let's get back to Mari. Nice soothing piano piece that plays whenever we talk to her, at least in an important cutscene. And the occasional hugging animation that we see throughout this game. We might have to start a search for him. So that area that Hero, Aubrey, and Kel hang out in is the neighbor's room. Absolutely. We haven't even started looking for him yet. We should at least wait a bit before we start assuming the worst. It's a good place to start as any. Alright, so we have our first objective, which is go back to Basil's house. Let's get on the way with that. Now, here's a nice little thing that we can do before we head out on our way. Just take a look in the mirror. It's nice to know that our friends are always standing beside us. We'll periodically find these mirrors in the different locales that we visit in this game, and there is an achievement tied to looking into every one of them, so we'll be sure to do that along the way. Looks like one of Basil's flowers has died out. Or at the very least, it's dying out. Perhaps we can revitalize it a bit. And here is a little game-long side quest that we can do. Not much of a side quest, but something we can come back to do periodically. Watering Basil's flowers. This is something that's pretty easy to overlook, but it ties into a couple things. For one thing, you'll get a little bonus scene at the end of the good ending if you come back and water the flowers enough. But also, each flower patch ties to a specific character, and if you water to the dead flowers, occasionally they'll get a boost to their HP stat when you water enough of them. Not so handy for most of the characters, but for any flower patch that represents a character that's not in your party, the HP boost goes to Omori, and if you make sure to come back and water the flowers all the time, by the end of the game that can get you about 20 or so HP for Omori, which is not bad. Sadly, Kel basically never gets anything from this because, well, his representative plant are cacti, and cacti do not dry out very easily. Well, we've made it to Basil's house, but nothing really of note here. Where could he be? We can find him. We gotta start looking in different areas. Absolutely, hero. Let's keep a level head. Cooler heads prevail and all. Yeah, the forest is as good a place as any to start. Lots of places to get lost there. Alright, let's get to it. It's a little hole here. Am I crazy? Doesn't look like we can do anything with it. Before heading out, though, a dusty bookcase and dust bunnies. This is a unique little encounter that, well, yeah, the dust bunny likes to do that. A little painful. Now, this is an encounter that you can get from this bookcase only on this chapter. The game, if you check the save screen and save, the game still identifies this part of the game we're in as the prologue, but it's pretty distinct from the beginning section with Basil, so I kind of informally consider it Day 2 or Chapter 2. And that specific enemy, by examining Basil's bookcase, can only be fought on Chapter 2. However, as far as I'm aware, that's not the only place that you can fight it. There is another bookcase later in the game where we could fight it if we miss the opportunity to fight it here. So you do not lose out on the opportunity to get that enemy into your foe's fact journal. On one of my playthroughs, I did not realize that there was another location where you could find that, and I had forgotten to fight it in the beginning of the game, and I thought, well, I can't complete the journal. It ended up being a moot point because the route I was on doesn't let you complete the journal anyway, which I learned out that time. Or I found out that time. Always mixing up my words. Bad habit of mine. Alright. Now technically the train station is also a part of the vast forest, or the pinwheel forest as this sign is pointing us to. But we'll head this way first. We will be exploring everything before we come to a stop today, or at least as much as I can get in a reasonably length video. Every time you enter a new area, you get a little pan over of it, just to give you a good idea of what it looks like. And here's where Hector comes into play. I don't think he's gonna have much luck, though. Yeah, he tried. Aubrey is not particularly amused by Kel's antics here. Yeah, I'm sure we can cover more ground than Hector could anyway, so let's get to it. These parrots that we come around, act something like a signpost just to guide you to where you want to go, or at the very least give you a lay of the land. Got another enemy here, forest bunnies. Bunnies are one of the most recurring enemy types in the game. We will come across a huge variety of them. First we had dust bunnies, now we got forest bunnies. One on the right is sad, so I'm going to annoy him. This one is happy, and that is fortunate, because that'll get us some extra money. As you can see, when the bunny is angry, it does pretty sizable damage to us. Now that we've gotten some levels, don't want to do that, our characters are going to start diverging a bit. We'll start with Omori, go over what everyone is good at and what everyone isn't good at. Omori is, in the grand protagonist prediction, pretty well-rounded. I'd say he comes in either second or third best at everything. One notable thing about Omori is that he does not get any new weapons throughout the game. He will always be wielding his trusty steak knife. So, to compensate for that, because he's not upgrading his weaponry over the course of the game, he has a better attack growth than the other characters when he levels up. Our knife is still nice and shiny. We'll look into more characters, or our other party members, as we get into another fight. Kel, as he levels up, gets a lot of speed. He quickly becomes the fastest character in the game by a huge margin. To compensate for that, his attack power is pretty low, and defensively he's very poor. He doesn't have a great defense stat, and his HP grows very badly. By the end of the game, he'll have about 100 less HP than the rest of your characters. But I find Kel to be one of the most useful party members in the game, honestly. Being able to go first consistently is insanely useful, and there's just so many things that he can do. He eventually gets some really good skills, so in spite of his low attack power, he can still do some pretty good damage. As you can see, I wasn't too worried about Omori getting knocked out there, because as long as he has more than 1 HP left, he can endure for a turn. We'll definitely want to heal him up after this. That lost sprout mole dropped some tofu for us. I'll feed that to Aubrey. And we'll use some of our candy. Now, Omori can only endure once per battle. If he gets knocked below 1 HP again, he dies there. And if Omori dies, it's game over. Got jacks there. Those are very useful. Did I see something, or am I just going crazy? Whatever. Got a tire swing here, but nothing we can do with that. Just a nice little bit of scenery. Enemies respawn whenever you enter a new area and come back. I want to fight those bunnies on the way back, because we actually have a quest coming up very soon that will revolve around the bunnies. And we got this ladder here. Sounds like a bit of an embellishment there, Kel. Well, unfortunately, Sunny has faced his acrophobia, but Omori has not, so he will not go up this ladder at the moment. Now, let's head back and fight that bunny. We'll want to fight 5 of these, specifically 5 as the number of the bunnies that we get through, before we get done with the vast forest. Now, describing more characters, Aubrey is the attacker of the group. She gets pretty good HP as the game goes on, but her defense is only modest, and she's relatively slow. But Aubrey has excellent attack power. She's one of the strongest fighters in the game at most points of it. And honestly, she isn't too hampered by her drawbacks. She's probably the most well-rounded character out of all of them. At this point, she has low juice, and she does have the lowest ending juice, but it's hardly a setback. Most of her good skills are relatively cheap. Gonna have Omori attack this bunny again. Hopefully we can finish it off before it gets a chance to attack Kel. If Kel gets taken out, it's not the end of the world. I haven't gone over Aubrey's skills yet. Aubrey has the ability to make enemies happy with her pep talk skill. And she'll get a few skills that revolve around happiness, though they are by far the least useful of her skills. Kel has taken some damage, so we'll use some of our candies. This is why I bought so many of those. Hero does not have much juice to throw around at this point, so he will run out very quickly if I rely on him for healing. Apple juice there is, as you can imagine, a juice restorative. This game is very generous with the MP equivalent restoring items. It's not like, the older Final Fantasy games where they were preposterously rare, which unfortunately made them pretty useless. Just run around this sprout mole. Now we got a little area here. It's got some dog prints. Doggy footprints, I should say. Paw prints. I heard a dog barking, but it doesn't look like there's anything here. Well, maybe if we just keep coming and going, the doggy will come out. He might just be scared of us at this point. Let's see. Oh, there he is. This is the ghost dog. He appears every once in a while when you come into this area. Not always, though, as you can see. And we can give him a pat. For being friendly, he gives us an item. That's actually one of the less useful things he can give us, so they're still decent. Sparkler is a toy item that we can use to inflict happiness. Best used by Kel, since he goes first. And if you pet the dog, you get an achievement for it. Though you can also get it from petting a much easier to come across dog later in the game. We can do this fight, since it'll give me a chance to describe Hero. Hero, as you probably noticed from having a healing skill, is the healer of the game. And as you can see, Kel's speed is starting to take off, and he went first there. Oof, that's a little rough. But Hero gets a bunch of healing and support skills. He also will get skills that allow him to draw enemy attacks, which is kind of interesting. Honestly, Hero's probably my least favorite party member because, well, he has a decent HP and a pretty decent defense. His attack power is just really low, and he generally doesn't contribute too much. An unfortunate design flaw of this game is that items are very good for healing and keeping your party topped off, so it's just kind of... Basically, Hero's just kind of over-specialized in his things. However, he does have his uses, and if you can think to use him in the right situations, he can be very good. He definitely has some positives. On the whole, though, he's not really my favorite party member. Now, we've been going through this, and I haven't really been describing the follow-up attacks. Let's go over them. The one you've been seeing me use a couple times is Kel's follow-up with Hero. Pressing up and passing to Hero, Hero will dunk the ball and hit every enemy. It's a very good follow-up, and it does a ton of damage. And it will actually get upgrades throughout the game, making it even more effective. Passing to Aubrey is supposed to deal a pretty big damaging attack, but honestly, it does about the same damage as Hero's dunk right now. So it's not that great, and it will eventually surpass it in damage against a single target, but unlike Hero's dunk, it only hits one target and it hits a random one to that, so I don't use it too much in the beginning of the game. Passing to Omori, well, technically it does nothing, but Omori isn't paying attention if you pass to him, and the ball hits him in the head and makes him sad. Actually, that would be a good chance to show off this. We got this attack at the end of the last video. This is Stab. As you can see, it always deals a critical hit, and it has the unique property of ignoring defense when Omori is sad. Let's check that out. I'll have Kel pass to Omori to make him sad. As you can see, he takes 1 damage from that, but it's not a big deal. Now, because he's sad and the Sprout Mole is happy, he has an emotional advantage over him. As you can see, that was quite the damage. He killed that thing in 1 hit. We're going to use one of Aubrey's follow-ups here. Looking at Omori, she'll try to impress him and launch a strong attack. Not too bad. That gets better as we go through the game. Now, right now, Stab, if Omori is sad, even in situations where he doesn't have an emotional advantage over the enemy, Stab Piercing Defense does a lot of damage. It's one of the most damaging things he can do for a while. However, your attack power in this game generally scales better than the enemy's defense, so Stab does fall off after a while, and it'll actually start doing less damage, even though it's a critical hit, than your other attacking options because it falls off so bad. But for now, it's very good, and if Omori is sad, it's one of the best things he can do. Looks like Kel's getting a little discouraged, but we still got a bit more forest to go through. This is the game telling you that to advance, we want to return to Mari, but there's still a little bit to explore. Particularly, we haven't gone through the train station area of Vast Forest, so we'll want to head there before we head back. Unfortunately, this will lead us to it. We got our next key. Let's check out the menu there. Only one B. B-A. Might need a little more to figure out what that word is, but I could hazard a guess. Another hole, but nothing to do with it. Now, let's head down this boardwalk. So I have a bit of an embarrassing thing to admit. The first time I played this game, I did not realize you could actually run in it by holding the shift key, and I completed the whole game without doing that. It made big... what's that? Looked kind of familiar. There's a key over there, but we can't get to it. Anyways, it made big scenery areas like this kind of annoying to get through, and it made 2 sections in the game much harder than they needed to be. But we'll get to those when we get to those. I will say, though, it does speak well for the game's pacing that I managed to get through it without noticing that I was missing a critical function. We've come across a few of these routes, and I didn't really draw any attention to that. But one of Omori's special abilities out of battle is that he can cut through things. Let's go over a few other things while we're going through battles. We'll take a look at Hero's follow-up attacks. I suppose we can go over Aubrey's follow-up attack with Kel. I believe I showed Hero's in the last video where she got the defense buff. When she looks at Kel, it makes her angry and increases her attack power in addition to the attack buff from anger. When you do a follow-up off of Hero, the character that you call out to gets some of their HP restored, and they launch another attack. I tend to not use Heroes too much because, well, for one thing, he comes last, so I've usually used up our starting energy before he gets to go. But also, the attack that gets launched is just as strong as a regular attack, and you can get better attacks than that using energy on other characters. And right now, the healing isn't too potent. If you check Hero's follow-up guides, the exact value is only 15% right now, very low. It does upgrade later and eventually restore juice as well, and that's pretty useful. We can give this wise rock clams for advice. Oh, let's start with the bad advice. Huh. A bit of a weird advice, but that's actually going to become relevant very soon. What's the okay advice? That's better advice than I usually get for taking bad advice. The last couple times I did that, he just told me to not be ugly. Well, that's a truism at least. Now, what do you classify as good advice? Well, I guess that's good advice. Certainly my grandfather would agree with that. And here we are in the train station section of Vast Forest. Unfortunately, the train station is right here, so we can check it out immediately. Now, there's a lot of NPCs that you can talk to here, but most of them don't have anything terribly interesting to say. That guy's all about business. I like this one, though. This is the Hot Diggity Dog. But this guy has a side quest for us. This guy hates bunnies. I actually kind of forgot to talk to Mari. She can allude to this guy existing. This guy really hates bunnies. Fortunately, we have already done that, so... In fact, we've defeated 8 bunnies. Well, killed 8, explicitly. Mr. Bun is not doing too well against Omori and co. And we get a charm from him. The next charm we'll get from him is at 25 bunnies and then 50 bunnies. I'll be getting to that eventually, but not right now. I feel that doing that grinding would make me a little over-leveled. But that cotton ball we got is rather useful. Gives +1 defense and +3 speed. I feel that Aubrey benefits the best from that right now. Won't necessarily let her go faster than Omori and Kel, but it should let her outspeed a couple enemies she might not otherwise, and that can be handy. Well, looks like we can't get the train pass with the lemonade. Got some popcorn. Popcorn is a good healing item. It heals the entire party for 35 HP. Pretty potent right now. And of course, better varieties of that kind of item will come up later. This is Gibbs, the stationary musician. I'd like something good. I've got a little game for you viewers out there. It's Name That Reference. What is this referencing? Leave a comment below, and I will not respond to you because I don't care. For the record, while listening to a stationary musician, you can also not move. Stationary musician gets stationary listeners. That's pretty. What a good performance. We'll not pay him again, though, because I feel like getting on with things. We've got a little more forest to explore. And I'll just pass over on fighting anything, unless it directly gets in my way at this point. We've gone over everything interesting to go over at this point. But there are a couple enemies that I want to bump into. This one right here. This is a forest bunny? Anyways, he's upside down. We'll just pass to Aubrey for this one, and get to see how this is not particularly good. It's unfortunate that this guy is happy. Lets him go before Kel gets a chance to go. Aubrey might buy the farm here, but it's not a huge deal if it happens. Fortunately, he decided to do something relatively useless. We'll use that candy immediately to get Aubrey back into fighting condition. Got a banana smoothie. That is a party-wide juice restorative. Very handy. Got a 3-leaf clover. This increases our critical hit rate. Nah, we'll leave Hector on Kel for the time being. They're good friends. Throw that on Omori. I believe your luck directly translates into your critical hit chance, so Omori has a 8% chance of scoring a critical hit if he isn't using stab, which is always a critical. There is one more enemy to encounter out here. Let's see if I can remember exactly where he is. Be sure to collect all the items that you can, as they can be quite valuable. Ah, here we go. This tree is a big, strong tree. It's a tree, but I think we can take it. Or maybe not. We might be in trouble here. Except that it's just a tree and it doesn't do anything, so let's just get out of here. Now, even though we did not defeat the tree in battle, just bring out our Fofax journal, and we got it right here. It is big and strong. I just like this one. It's a little funny. Its ear muscles must be strong. Now, if you actually want to defeat the tree, remember, Omori's stab does defense-piercing critical damage, so he can actually hurt it if he's sad, but it has a ton of HP, and Omori doesn't have very much juice, and we don't have many juice restoratives, so it would take forever to kill that thing. And it only gives out 500 experience. Pretty sizable at this point in the game, but not worth the effort it takes to kill it. If you really do feel like killing it, just come back for it later when you have more defense-piercing attacks. We'll just run past this sprout mole. Hard bulb. We can't do anything with it. Also, yeah, I gave that bracelet to Hero since I feel he can benefit the most from the defense at this point. Now, if we go through here, we're back at the Vast Forest Junction. Just as a fun little note, if you decide to go to the train station direction first, the little cutscene with Kel throwing out Hector still plays. Good that they accommodated for that. Now let's head back to Mari. Looks like Van's got a side quest for us, but we'll get back to that after we talk to Mari. Yeah, we might have to branch out and look in different areas. I don't think he's in Vast Forest. We covered that area pretty thoroughly. Looks like Hero's having the same idea as me. Isn't Omori afraid of the heights? At least Aubrey's thinking of Omori. Then again, if Basil is up there, our hands are really tied. We do have to go find him. Omori might just have to face his fear. Well, with that vote of confidence, I think we can handle it. You know what? You're right, Kel. What's the worst that could happen? I think we can do this. This is a but thou must situation. Saying no will just be taken as yes, so let's say yes. Besides, it's the sensible thing to do. No reason to be difficult when our friend could be in danger. Alright. We have our objective, to the ladder east of the stump. But this video has been running for a while, so I think we'll cut it here. Take some nutritious candy, and save our game. Alright. Prior to this recording, I finished everything I wanted to do with my most recent file, so we'll overwrite that. Always want to use up all these save slots in the case of some horrible event that requires me to re-record the video. Knock on wood. Alright, but let's wrap it up there. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time as well. Alright, have a great day, everybody.